So I think the strength of the SOCL is that it wants to really pay attention to the intersection of contemplation and justice.
What are you excited about in terms of what you get to do and why you feel uniquely called and gifted to do that?
Mm-hmm. So as a instructor, co-facilitator for the School of Contemplative Listening, I am really excited to be a part of this, to have been invited into this. Because for me, again, it's imperative, the heart of contemplation and justice. So much of my background has been in justice work. And I can honestly say I'm guilty of it, right? Of because of my relationship with Christ, because of the way I listen and hear the Gospels, I have a clear, this is what the world should look like, right? And then I can also be really good at deciding, well, Cami, you're the one that has to make it look that way, right? So I'm right in there with the people who work so hard for justice, but don't necessarily go back into the well of contemplation to start discerning wise action. So I'm really, really excited to bring my history of justice work, but I'm also excited to bring my learning, just very practical life application of those two, and the difference that contemplation has made to the work of justice for me. I'm very excited to really be exploring some of the justice issues as we will unpack some of them in this process, to really be looking at power, again, for power's sake, not a misappropriated or a commodified or even a hoarding mentality that we can put around power. Power is mine. And so I'm excited to really be looking at the justice piece of it, the power piece of it, and being able to bring that. I think it's really critical in this time right now that we really have that deep learning, deep experiencing, the deep wrestling with the intersection between contemplation and justice. The other piece that I'm really excited to bring, which is has a lot of living space in my own way of practicing spiritual direction, and that's, Christ clearly tells us our role is to love God with our whole mind, our whole body, right, our whole strength, our whole soul. And so I'm excited to be also able to bring uniquely, the role of what embodiment looks like. We can often approach quite honest, we can approach our faith from the head down, and it can even stop right here. Right? And so to be able to say no, as St. Irenaeus said, right, the greatest glory of God is a human fully alive. Well, we have to be fully alive and embodied in that. And so to be able to bring what some embodiment practices look like, what is the pneuma, right, the breath of life look like. So how does the breathing, so to be able to bring some embodiment practices into the practicum as well helps us to attend to even a deeper listening to the person. We can attune to some of their body postures, which are clues for us as directors that say, okay, somebody's bringing in something. Like I'm hearing them say they're okay with this, but their body is showing me clearly it's not. And so it really helps to even deepen our questions, even deepen our noticings. So I'm excited to be bringing those two pieces in particular, the exploration of justice as it is by God's vision for justice, and then the embodiment piece of it.
Can you speak invitationally to the person who has been abused, the person who doesn't understand the church, or a one-on-one conversation to be safe? What would you say to those people about why we need spiritual direction, or how spiritual direction should be handled? What kind of thoughts? If you're saying spiritual direction is so vital, so important with justice work, but I've been hurt, what would you say to that person?
I would say, first and foremost, spiritual direction authentic spiritual direction is a safe place. And when you engage in spiritual direction, your hurt comes in the door with you. Right? So and it should be honored and held sacred and reverent. Spiritual direction, because for those who've been hurt, for those of us who've been hurt, right, who've experienced abuse, those circumstances and situations rob us of a clear vision of the gift and glory that we are. That gift and glory doesn't change. It doesn't go away. We don't lose it. It's just obscured. Spiritual direction is the relationship that helps us begin to see that glimmer and that glimpse of our gift and our glory. And so we don't do that by leaving our hurts at the door. We don't do that by giving in to the need to guard ourselves, right? We create spiritual direction to create a freedom for us to step out into the openness.
If I'm someone who doesn't know what to do with the institutional church, and I don't know if I can really even believe in some sort of doctrinal community, can I still apply to the School of Contemplative Listening?
Absolutely. You can apply to the School of Contemplative Listening if institutional church is not feeling comfortable. Spiritual direction is a ministry of the church for the church. And the church is a wide range of terrain. And so because organized religion or doctrinal church doesn't feel like the place, doesn't mean that church isn't still taking place and that you're not still called to be in the church. It just may be that the expansion, there may be an invitation to the expansion of what church looks like. It's also then a place to wrestle with that. Because we can also carry that spiritual baggage, the spiritual wounding, the spiritual, in some cases it may be quite honestly spiritual abuse and spiritual trauma. And the School of Contemplative Listening is very much that place that holds that sacred for the exploration. It's then a safe place to explore the tensions that you're noticing with doctrinal organized church. It's a place to just maybe come and rest, take a deep breath. Maybe there's a wound or two that gets attended to. That gets some balm because of the study, that we do, of the community that is gathered, of the prayer that is engaged in.